afternoon, welcome to La Mama. My name is John Dissendorf, and I'm the Director of Audience Development here, and I just want to thank you so much for coming. I know there's a lot of things you can do with your Saturday afternoon, so we so appreciate you coming this afternoon. I want to thank Southern Cross Coffee for donating coffee so we can have free coffee at the Coffeehouse. They're located at 300 East 5th Street, and if you mention your Mama, you get 10% off. And which makes sense because you want to stop there afterwards, because on your way to PS New York, which is also doing an Ethyl Eichelberger related event with young people who are inspired by Ethel. It's called a Very Ethyl Eichelberger Evening. And if you use the code EELOVE, or just tell them you were here at La Mama, you'll get a $5 ticket for that. So just some business. The exits are obviously where you came in. There's an exit on the right side here that will go out to East 3rd Street in case of an emergency. Please silence all your cell phones. And while we're speaking of cell phones, Mama's doing digital programs now, so you can access that through your phone, through your computer. Everybody who buys a ticket in advance gets an email with a link to the program. If for any reason you can't access it, or you don't have a computer or a cell phone, see one of the house people, and they will get you a printed program. There's even a few hidden around somewhere. There's lots of programming left this season. It's the final weekend for Talking Dead, City of No Illusions. There's a brand new play by Jean-Claude Van Italy coming up. A new dance theater piece by Nick DiParizzo, our very good and that's directed by John Deseret, so that's like a The Mama Moves will go on sale this week, and for June we're doing a month of programming around Stonewall 50 career performances. So check out the website for more information about that. And just one final thing, if you happen to walk by East 4th Street and notice our original building at 74 is under construction now. We're doing a major capital campaign that will make that theater accessible. There will be an elevator put in, it will be completely handicap accessible to make sure that generations of artists have a home in New York City. That in 20 years we'll be doing a Coffeehouse Chronicles about somebody we don't even know yet in that theater. So for more information about that, please visit our website. It's called Restore a Building, Remake a World. And now I'm going to turn it over to the Coffeehouse Chronicles series curator, Mahal Gamali.
I just want to say, take this moment to say thank you to Joan, because I wouldn't be able to thank you. And actually, it's his birthday. Once I came in and said, I don't know what to do this time. He said, do Ethel. I called Joy. Joy said, we're doing also the same day. We have another event, and everything happens to come together, and it's so great. I just want to say a few more things. We have 4 more coffee house this year, including this one. In April, we have John Jezeron, of course. Which is a Polish playwright. I don't know if a lot of you have heard about him, but you will hear about him. And we do it together with the Polish Cultural Institute and the Seid Center. And it's going to be really, really interesting. And then we're going to do a very big one for 50th anniversary for Stonewall. I can't announce it yet, because we still need confirmation. And I guess I'm going to get confirmation in the next 2 weeks. But stay tuned, because it's going to be a big one. And welcome, thank you.
Ways there to there, from Nefertiti to Miriam A. For his collective work on New York dance and performance awarded presented to Ethel
As you saw, that clip is an amazing moment in Ethel's life. Sorry about the quality. As you know, he died almost 30 years ago, so some of the materials we have varying kind of levels of quality. I think that was worth suffering through all the buzzing for them. So I just wanted to say a few things before we get started and bring the other people out. We have a wonderful afternoon planned. Thank you, La Mama. Thank you, Mikhail, for all the work you did putting this together. I just wanted to recognize a couple of people that are related to Ethel that we've lost recently. One is Jo Andrus. She was an amazing filmmaker, artist, supporter of Ethel, friend to Ethel, and a big fan, she and her husband, Steve. Also, I wanted to talk about Brian Budrick a little bit. Also known as Hattie Hathaway. And Brian was an enormous supporter of Ethel, very instrumental in his development and his career because he worked so often at the Pyramid Club, and Brian booked him so frequently. The other thing is that Brian introduced me to Ethel, and for me, that's a really big moment in my life. Brian was booking dancers on the bar at the Pyramid at the time. My boyfriend was David Crocker, who was the lighting designer and lighting guy at the Pyramid. He worked there on and off for years through firings, 86ings, and lots of drama. But one night I was sitting at home, and David called me and said he had forgotten something at work, and could I bring it down to the Pyramid? And I said, of course, and I went down to the Pyramid, and as soon as I walked in, Brian said, oh my God, Joni, thank God you're here. Somebody canceled, and I need someone to dance on the bar. And I'd done it a few times before, because in conversations with Brian, he found out I had been a dancer before I came to New York. So I said, well, I can, but I have to run back home because I don't have anything with me. I was wearing like little tiny cutoffs and a tank top. And he said, oh, don't worry, Ethel's here, and he'll give you something to wear. So I went over and he introduced us, and of course I'd heard of Ethel because David had told me about him, and I'd seen a couple of his performances of the Women in History series, and I was very excited to meet him. So he said, well, we have to go downstairs in the tech office because there's a bunch of children in the basement. I'm like, children? And sure enough, Brian had booked a band, I think it was called Junkyard Band or something like that, and it was all like 10, 12-year-old kids. So we went in the tech office, and he hoisted that big bag onto the desk that was there, and he rifled through it, and I tried on a couple things, and we found a real slinky, fab black dress that fit me and looked good. And then he went back into the bag, and he looked up at me with a look on his face that I grew to know well and to love a lot, which was Ethel's look of pure glee and unadulterated joy. And he said to me, I don't know if you'd wear something like this. and he pulled out a big feathered headdress. And of course, I'm prone to stuff on my head, so I said, absolutely, I will definitely wear that. And so we danced on the bar together, and it was super fun because we were on opposite ends, obviously, but we would look at each other and copy each other and play around. It was just really, really fun. And it was a while then before I started to work for him. But when he was doing Fiasco, his stage manager quit 3 days before the show opened. And he was going to hire David Crocker to take over. But Gerard Little, a.k.a. Mr. Fashion, was in Fiasco, and he said to him, hire Joni, she's more reliable. And that's how I started working for Ethel. Started as his stage manager, and eventually he wrote magnificent parts for me to play. So I thought today we should start with just a general overview of Ethel's life, and for that, who better than the drag historian? We all know him. He's teaching a course right now on RuPaul's Drag Race at NYU, and just had a big surprise where all the contestants showed up at his class. I'm sure the kids were thrilled. He's also known as the ultimate authority on all things Ethyl Eichelberger, Dr. Joey Jeffries.
I am going to give you a quick, brief, fast PowerPoint presentation that kind of gets you through Ethel's life and career. In order to change the slides, I will be signaling to the booth with a power to the people move. So when you see me do this, you know that I am asking for the slide to be advanced. Okay? So let's get this underway here. Ethyl Eichelberger, he's alive. Ethel may have passed in 1990, but Ethel is alive. Ethel was born in 1945 in Illinois to parents who had connections to the Amish Mennonite community. He was the youngest child and has two sisters, both still surviving. In grade school, he was cast as the Wicked Witch in Hansel and Gretel. His mother made a pink yarn wig for him, and he said he never recovered from this experience. In high school, Ethel became the star of the drama department, doing many, many productions there with his beloved drama teacher, Edith Herod. After high school, Ethel immediately he came to New York and started working, went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Upon graduation from the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, he went to Rhode Island and became the lead character actor at the Trinity Repertory Company, where he played many, many roles that we see here. The long-haired look in the middle there, on the side there, is a Charles Manson musical. Prior to the Repertory Company, a person who he went to the American Academy with, a person by the name that you may know of as 11, took him to an early rehearsal of the Ridiculous Theatrical Company. I believe it was their production of Big Hotel they were rehearsing. Once again, this was an experience from which Ethel never recovered. He said at Trinity he saw people doing that, quote, mock Stanislavski shit. Ridiculous, he did not. He immediately knew he wanted to become part of that company, which he eventually moved to New York and did. Upon moving to New York, he changed his name to Ethel in honor of the great Ethels of the theater, Barrymore, Merman, and Mertz. Decide what you were called, Ethel said. From that point on, he began a series of performances of great women of history, literature, and myth. Many of these are in rhymed verse. Many of these have musical accompaniment on his accordion, zither, any small little instrument that he carried with him into a space. Here we have Nefertiti. This Medea. Here is simply one of my favorite pictures of Ethel wheat pasting flyers for his show near Harvey Firestein's Torch Song Trilogy on Broadway posters. And we believe that shot was taken very near here also. This is Minnie the Maid, one of his better known characters. This is Carlotta, Empress of Mexico. Eventually, Ethel got a back tattoo designed by Ken Tisa. This was unusual at the time for anyone to get a tattoo of this size on their back. This was a design that Ken Tisa said he had several options to show Ethel. This one was just kind of a joke idea, and so one that Ethel went with. This is a depiction of Ethel in drag as an angel. Ethel would frequently wear backless gowns during his performances, turn around and make this dance. Right? Up the hill comes Andrew Jackson. This is just another of my favorite pictures of Ethel dancing with Augusto Machado. At a certain point in his career, Ethel decided that the female characters were great, but nobody was taking him seriously with these female characters, regardless of how superlative he was at it. So he started writing male characters for himself. This is Lear, L-E-E-R, his take on King Lear. This is Jim Lee, a tale about the earthquake in San Francisco. Being from Illinois, of course, he eventually had to get to Abraham Lincoln, during which he did recite the entire Gettysburg Address. Elocution teachers who I know who saw that performance said it was the most perfect delivery they had ever heard of the Gettysburg Address from their elocution standpoint. Ethel does then have a commercial career also, not only downtown theater, but uptown commercial theater, including such things as the Broadway production of Threepenny Opera with Sting. We'll see clips later on today, I believe, from the Comedy of Errors that was done at Lincoln Center. And then these other shots here are from a series that HBO did called Encyclopedia, which I believe we'll see clips of today also. Each week was a different letter of the alphabet, and Ethel acted many characters in this series. In 1990, Ethel passed away. Ethel committed suicide in the bathtub of his home in Staten Island that he was sharing with John Brockmeyer. Ethel had been diagnosed HIV positive. The treatments were killing him. And actually, Ethel's memorial service was held right here in this room. Ethel is currently at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine, in a columbarium space that is now occupied also by ridiculous theatrical member George Osterman. Ethyl Eichelberger, he's alive. Ethel lived still in the world in many ways, shapes, and forms. This is a mural that was done by Taboo outside of Mama's, right? This also is a sculptural piece done by Oliver Harry, who has done an entire sculptural series of knitted tape for Ethel, and this is of course one of Greer Langton's dolls. Ethel also lives in literature. This is a series of fictional works that incorporate Ethel as a character in some way, shape, or form. Later today, we'll be hearing from Brian Belovitch, who talks about Ethel, meeting Ethel in the current memoir Transfigured. Performance Space 122, now known as ESNY, for many years also had an Ethyl Eichelberger Award. The first recipient of the award in 2005, this is Taylor Mack. Right? Taylor Mack, as you now know, is soon to have a show, Gary, opening on Broadway. This was one of Taylor's first big recognitions. Julie Atlas Hughes. Justin Vivian Bond. Jennifer Miller. Vaginal Prim Davis. John Kelly. 151st Avenue, now known as PSNY. There will be a series of performances that is curated by the Ethyl Eichelberger Award Committee, including the Velvet Crayon, Kamar Jewel, Morgan Weiger, and Chris Harris, also known as Chris of Her. We invite you to come all with us to that at 4 o'clock. Ethyl Eichelberger, he's alive. Thank you very much. Actually, for Vaginal Crim Davis's piece at PS 122, Ethel had a theme song that he would frequently do after his performances. It's called Women Who Survive. This is his theme song, Women Who Survive. It was kind of frequently an encore after many of his shows. This is that with lots of pictures and fast cut video. So please enjoy Ethel's theme song, Women Who Survive, and get your mind saturated with quick cut video.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am very honored, privileged, and humbled now to bring to our stage Black-Eyed Susan. Black-Eyed Susan is going to be performing for us a segment of St. Joan. St. Joan is a solo performance piece that Ethel wrote specifically for Susan. It is really the only solo piece that Ethel ever wrote for anybody else individually. Ladies and gentlemen, Black-Eyed Susan and St. Joan.
You tricked me. You lied to me. You told me an untruth. I should have ignored your supplication, yet I am but a youth and I believed you. I did what you told me. I ran to my mother and cried out her name. Mama, Mama, 'tis Jean de Lorraine. What is it that you need? Nothing. she replied. My foolish daughter, return to the pastures and tend your sheep. The angels must have touched your eyes and sent voices to you in your sleep. Now I return to find you and chastise your wicked intent, yet still you smile and beckon as though you were sent by Jesus and Marie to lead me down a wicked path away from all that is peaceful and good to hellfire, deceit, and damnation. Away from the path that I should go to was our Lord's way. I did you no wrong. I did you no disservice. You are beautiful and a stranger to me, and so I asked your name. I am Michel, you replied, and smiled as you are smiling now. I am Michel, sent by your blessed mother who is asking for your help. She needed not her faithful daughter's strong hand to help her. She told me this. It is your holy mother sitting by the right hand of God who has sent me for your help. Blessed Virgin Mary, help me. Are you the devil hiding in our woods? Fly, and let me be. I am but a poor young shepherd girl who knows nothing of the world. What could you want of me? Oh, let me be gone. Do not leave me, ma pucelle. Oh, my feet stand rooted on this spot. I cannot move. Satan has sent you to tempt and destroy my beliefs. Oh, Satan, be gone. I have defeated Beelzebub in righteous battle for our Lord above. Would you see me? Would you call his name? Kneel, doubting virgin, and I will show him to you. Jesus Marie, save me. Tremble, child, and cry to no avail. You are chosen to die in the name of our Lord. My eyes dry up. My strength returns. Go. Get you hence. Away, depart. I fear you no longer. My Lord hears you not. He will save me, for my love of him is strong. Hail Marie, full of grace, O Holy Marie, save me, for I am your obedient daughter. I believe in sprites and demons. There are elves and fairies too, waiting in the Lauren woodlands for to pinch us black and blue. When I lost a tooth last winter, fairies left me an écu, so I'd not lose my belief in them. My faith is strong and true. There are powers all around us. If I'd only learned to read, I could understand them better, but my faith is all I need. 'Cause, Marie, I believe in you and Jesus. I believe and know that someday, if I pray and give confessions, I'll to heaven go. But the woods are dark and scary sometimes, especially late at night. A teenage girl of swart complexion fearfully trembles in her fright, but a rosary and a prayer will save me, give me strength and light, my path to safety when I need her. Marie's always by my side. I believe in sprites and demons. There are elves and fairies too, waiting in the Lauren woodlands for to pinch us black and blue. Ethel wrote that for me when he heard that I liked Medea, Lady Macbeth, and then I said St. Joan, and he said, I'll take St. Joan.
Thank you, Susan. Susan, stick with us up here. We're going to do the panel now. I'd also like to introduce somebody else that's going to join us. He's probably known Ethel longer than any of us. He met him in Rhode Island. He's performed all over New York City in nightclubs, theaters, under different persona. And this is his book, Transfigured, which I highly recommend. I've also been to a reading, which was fantastic, so I recommend that as well. Please join us, Brian Belovitch. Brian, I wanted to start out by asking you about meeting Ethel in Rhode Island, because Ethel was there at the Trinity Repertory Company, and I think you were a teenager.
Yes, I was. I was a teenager. But first of all, thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here, and what a tough act to follow, Black-Eyed Susan. My God, amazing. I love her so much. And yeah, I met Ethel, who then was James Eichelberger, and I was barely 16 and hanging out in the disco in Providence, Rhode Island, 1970.
Oh, you met at a disco?
We met at a disco, yes. The hottest disco in Providence, Rhode Island, the Gallery. And it was very groundbreaking because there had never been anything like it before in the city. And so a friend of mine, which I also write about in the book, Paul Bricker, he and I were best friends, and we often dressed in drag and half drag, scare drag, semi-drag, and Paul met him, I think Paul met him before I did, and so Paul actually introduced me to Ethel, and he would always be at the same spot in the corner of the bar, close to the dance floor, and he was just so fascinated with our youthful rebelliousness, because this was 1972. And
did you see him perform?
I did not ever get the chance to see him perform.
Not till you came to New York.
Not till I came to New York, and when I did come to New York at 18, a couple of years later, he was working at the candle shop on Christopher Street.
That's before he became a hairdresser.
Yes, that was before the hairdressing. Yes, and that was. We would, Christopher Street was such a, it was like central, if you wanted to know anything that was going on in the city, you had to stroll up and down Christopher Street too.
Now, Susan, you were at the Ridiculous when Ethel showed up there. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, he was a wonderful actor, and I knew that he had, when he graduated from high school and went to college, in his first year of college, he played
Hamlet. Wasn't it Hamlet?
Hamlet.
Yeah.
And then when he came here, he was with that theatrical group, which taught acting. Then he went to Rhode Island, and he was acting in a company there where they did classics, but not only that, they did modern plays that were serious. The first one I saw was in the early 70s. It was played here in New York on Broadway in one of those theaters, but way up in the air. We sat in the balcony, and he was so serious. I mean, I didn't expect anything else. I didn't know what to expect, but he was like just deadly serious. And I thought, what is this play about? Then a few years later, I went with a couple of friends up to Rhode Island to see a production that he was in. And he said that the director there had finally caught on to him, that he could be humorous. And he was playing in this play a man who had his own business, and he was against other people that were trying to take his business away from him. But he was absolutely brilliant. He was funny as hell, but he was also, you could understand him as a businessman. He really got it. And he had the audience hysterical, laughing at times. And then he came to New York, and he was with Charles Ludlam for a while.
Now, I met Brian at the Limelight, only he was Tish Gervais then.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you that Ethel told me that you were transsexual.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Oh, that bitch.
Because I had no idea.
I was undercover.
He told me that he had known you in Rhode Island, and I was like, really? Wow. And I hope you remember I made you a costume that got you in the Daily News.
Oh, yes, the big lips.
That's right.
That's right. Oh, my God, yeah. Yeah, Ethel, speaking of the ridiculous, when I got here when I was 18, just to backtrack a second before I get ahead of myself, when I was 16 and I met Ethel and I found out that he was an actor, I was like, oh my God, you could be gay and be an actor? I mean, I was like a 16, little, didn't know nothing about anything. And so that was very inspiring to me and intriguing. And then when I got to the city here, we lived over at the Albert Hotel on 10th Street, and I would run into, see him all the time at the candle shop. It was a regular stop if my friend and I...
Did you buy candles?
Not really, no. We just went and smoked cigarettes and, smoked a joint or, whatever. But he was doing a play, and the play was called Camille. And I had, no idea what it was, anything. I didn't know anything about the ridiculous. And I remember it so clearly. It was I was on 10th Street. It was on the 11th Street, I think, the Evergreen Theater, one of those little black box theaters over there. And I remember I had this most excruciating... Oops. And, hello? There we go. Yeah, I had this the most horrible toothache I ever had in my life. And I didn't want to go, and my friend said, we have to go. So we go into this theater. There's Charles Ludlam, and Ethel is playing, I think Nanine, the maid. And, as soon as we sit down and the lights come up, and we, just the laughter was so incredibly healing. The toothache, I forgot about the toothache, and then I had... whenever he was doing something at the Ridiculous, I would go see him over there.
And Susan, do you remember that first performance at the Ridiculous?
Which one?
Camille. When he did Camille.
Oh, yeah. One of the most incredible things that happened, another actor in the show said, let's stand just outside of the stage and watch where we can see some of the audience. Wait till you see what happens. When the play opened, Charles was playing a woman. His hairy chest was visible. He was hysterically funny. And the audience was just cracking up like they were really screaming with laughter. By the fourth act, I couldn't believe it. The audience, some of them were crying. He was dying.
Joey here.
I just wanted to throw some of this on the timeline, being a scholar here, just to kind of let you know when Ethel was involved with the Ridiculous early on, and then when his own work begins in New York City. So the first thing that I have a notation of Ethel appearing with, he'd done in March of 1974, Tooth of Crime, which was his last production at the Trinity. This is under the direction of Adrian Hall. He then comes to New York, and by 75, he's doing Jack and the Beanstalk, a ridiculous theatrical production. He plays the giant's wife. In 1976, he does Tableau Tableau, which was a whole series of ridiculous kind of sketches and pieces. In 76, he's in Caprice. He plays a bunch of characters in Caprice. La Fleur, Bertha, Althea. Also that year, Camille, so this must have been around 76, you all are talking. He plays Nichette, the maid. This is a replacement part. He's a, second fill-in for this. In 77, Der Ring, Fricka. Also in 77, Stage Blood. He plays Carlton Stone and Gilbert Fay. He works with the Trocadero Gloxinia Gospel Singers at that point in time, at Trudy Heller's also. And then his first production of his own work in New York City is actually here at La Mama. He does Phaedra, a double bill, a light double bill of entertainment, Phaedra and Oedipus. That is from November the 30th to December the 5th here at La Mama. And that production, the cast, some of those cast members are here today. Ethel was Phaedra. The narrator was Black-Eyed Susan. The chanteuse was Lola Pashalinsky, who is out there in our audience today. The tall Therpsichore was John Brockmeyer. The not-so-tall Therpsichore was Steve Burdick. The pianist was Tom Hardy. And then Oedipus also did Oedipus. Ethel also did Oedipus. And then the list goes on and on. But I just wanted to kind of let you know that Ethel's career starts here with the ridiculous and small fill-in roles for people, and then really starts with his solo work here at La Mama. And Phaedra was something that he wrote while he was at Trinity and actually kind of performed late night for the Trinity cast. This kind of cut and paste version of the translation, I think it's the Robert Lowell translation of Phaedra.
And then the next thing we're going to see is a video, and it's Ethel doing Jocasta. It's at Hallwalls, which is a contemporary arts center in Buffalo, New York. I think he went several times. I looked at the archives of Hallwalls. I think this is in 1984 when he went with Bobby Bradley and Cornelius Conboy. And I think John Kelly was on that trip too. So this is Ethel doing Jocasta, Boy Crazy, or She Married Her Son.
Go, leave me here alone, this sword that tangled web, and must have strength again to step into the light. Ah! God damn it, what's wrong with you? Why don't you speak, filthy prophet of doom? Damn! Get away from me, get out of my sight, wait! Attendez, I know you have a purpose here, and have no choice to stay. The gods have sent you to me, have they not? Tiresias, Gracia, all-knowing messenger of Zeus, what do you bring to shower on my head? Good fortune or bad? Laughter, or tears? Have a nice day! You think you're so smart with your book learning. You're so smart, tell me, what's my husband's secret? You don't know it, do you? Of course you don't. I'll tell you what it is. My husband has a tattoo under his testicle saying, have a nice day. Ow! How did you know? Green ink. She used green ink, Mademoiselle Martin dans la tatouage. C'est vrai, you know it all. I believe you are an emissary of the gods. Oui, I know a few things, your palms. I hear it from the birds. Do not tell your evil secrets, Tiresias. Go to your friends, the birds, Soothsayer, and leave me here in peace. Who are you, miserable woman? When they call me Joe, I always answer. What is this place? Why does it smell so sweet? You have flown in through my bedroom window. Are you truly blind, Tiresias? Or do you chide me, mortal that I am? See me tremble, hear me moan. Tell Jocasta to atone. You're wasting your breath, Burgrave. This is Jocasta you're talking to. I've been around. It makes me dizzy. And now, great Oedipus is toppled, and those of us who stand too close will be crushed by his fall. I already know the future, Tiresias, and Joe has made up her mind. My fate was written on the wind, but I protest my innocence. I do. What did I do? Who did I do? And who has cursed me? Have you cursed me? For the gods have really bothered to curse little old Jocasta. The walls are closing in. Ed! Oh, Ed! Leave me and put me to bed. Leeches. Why are the tyrants always heading for the river on these warm nights? It's a one-way street, you say. Commit me. Please don't hit me. And what do you believe in, Joe? believe I must be committed. My commitment is to death, my atonement nevermore. And the whispers that you hear are the devils around my door, singing out the life I'm living, singing out the hated tunes, singing while the time goes passing, singing, thieves will soon be ruined. You made your bed when you married that child, but he was so pretty, Tiresias, and he liked me. You must listen to me, Joe Captain. No, I don't want to hear what you have to say. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Burn the books, Tiresias. Burn the post. I turn my back on back, ladies. They're ugly. They're disgusting. They smell. Go to hell. Yet why do I see myself there? Why do I always see myself there? Get them away from me. Get them out of my sight. Send them to 3rd Street where they belong. Because I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Burn the books, Tiresias. Burn the post. The man down the street, they stole his goods. Beat him too. Sent him to hospital. Tom is gone. Some creep murdered him. But don't let me know. I don't need to know. Darken the windows on my limousine. More perfume, more cologne. Halt and make a stronger thing. Or burn my nose out on cocaine. The dog shit is gone now in New York City. But the human shit remains. And sometimes that's all that I can smell. Close the window. Pull the blind. Because I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Burn the book, Tiresias. Burn the book. Go on. Spit on the street when you pass me by. Sneer, growl, but stay away. Don't tell me who you are. Don't tell me what you are. I won't learn Spanish. You can't make me listen. Because I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Burn the book, Tiresias. Burn the post. Censor the TV news, please, Louise. Don't interview the kid's mother, for God's sake. Not now. Dead bodies, burning cars. They stares and angry cries. Give me, I love Lucy. Give me Ethel. Give me Fred. Give me heroin, honey, for your bones on my head. Because I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Burn the book, Tiresias. Burn the, what am I saying? How can I be blind like you, Tiresias? No. Show me life. Let me see what help is needed. I can't live my life with my head stuck up my ass, farting lady of Spain to blind my eyes, because I can take it. I can take it. I can take it. I can take it. You can take it too. Good thing. Suffer, right? Oh no, maybe sometimes to live is to work. But I'm tired of working. Tiresias, you're tired of working too. I know I stood outside your cave, that filthy place you talked about birds. And I have heard your song. And this is the song of Tiresias. I like living locked up in my every domain, where no one can bother me, and I can't hear folks complain. Cause people drive me crazy, they're hateful and they're lazy, and I'm easily manipulated. Soon I'm doing everyone's work but mine, and I lose my soul. I can't even call my own when I'm living for a star. But I know the future, and I know the past, and I'd like to help you out, Joe. But you won't believe a word I say. It's better that way. Just stay away from me. Soon you're gonna die, Joe. You know we've all got to die, Joe. And now your time is nearly up. It's only natural. This way you won't outlive your kids. You know your kids, their lives will be worse than yours, Joe. Believe me, two, they'll kill each other, and one of those will lie in the rot, and then one will die like you, Joe. And one will live to cry, but I know the future. I know the past, and I'd like to help you out, Joe. But you won't believe a word I say. No, you won't. It's better that way. Tiresias, I've heard your songs. I know that you do believe in something bigger than both of us. You believe in the gods, the powers that be, and I believe too, Tiresias. You have shown me the way. You have given me the strength to go on to the moment I will die. And why is that, Tiresias? Because you believe. I can see some smiling faces out there. They believe. If they didn't believe there was a better tomorrow, they wouldn't be here tonight, right? And we do believe the gods are good. We do believe they love us, they guide us, and when we're wrong, they chide us. And if we're real good and do what we're told, we won't have to come back to this miserable world. Did you say your prayers at night and offer sacrifices? If you smile, say hello, and pretend that you don't know. Make yourself pretty, drink that drink right down to the bottom. Don't drop it on the floor when you're through. Then keep your knees together, both feet on the floor. Park in the basement, Belle to New York. And believe. Look both ways before crossing the boulevard. And like Bob Dylan, just remember, you gotta believe in something, even if you change your mind tomorrow. And we do believe the gods are good. We do believe they love us, they guide us, and when we're wrong, they chide us. And if we're real good and do what we're told, we'll be happy, we'll be very, very happy, we'll be happy, also very, very, very happy, 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 so happy, Gallagher, who thank you very much for having me, and Cornelia too, thanks for bringing me. But he used a picture in the flyers, those beautiful flyers. That's a Peter Hujar photograph. Peter's one of my best friends. He's like a Buddhist. He met the Dalai Lama for his 50th birthday, although I know he's 53. And he's really a Buddhist. He's always shown me the way to live, you know. In New York, everybody eats differently. We went to a restaurant today in the Lenox Hotel. We went down the geriatric section, and we had something to eat. What? Pureed vegetables. Pureed vegetables, yeah. And if you're Jello, if you're a girl. If you're a guy, you have to eat peanut butter and jelly with your dinner. I saw it, or mashed yams. But Peter always showed me how to eat. He's been really good to me because he always. I'm a hairdresser. Truth is always stranger than fiction. And I went to school, that was to support myself so that I could go play places like ABC in New York and stuff. Because funny, you can't support yourself doing that very well. And I went to school because Peter, my God, there are people over there. I could tell they have deeper voices than I do. But Peter helped me get through school because he always said, if you really want something, and this is what I was getting to, if you really want something, and you want it very much, like to look like this, all you have to do is visualize it in your mind, and if you can see it, honey, you can reach right out and get it. you now, 25? Cornelius is 25 and he owns a building in Manhattan. You can get it if you want it. This is from Lucrezia Borgia. Why, Mama, why isn't everything perfect? Why, Mama, why must we wait to die? To see God, to find heaven, to be one of the little Angelinas. I'm just trying to survive, Mama. It's an uphill climb, it ain't easy. It plays my mind, it sears my soul. It keeps me pressing on my toes. But I got a lot to live for, Mama. I hear there's a party next week. It's at Julia Di Farnese's, Mama. You know who she is, yes you do. She's Papa's new girlfriend. Oh, Mama. Why, Mama, why isn't everything perfect? Why, Mama, why must we wait to die? To see God, to find heaven, to be one of the little Angelinas. My Papa is Papa Alexandro Sixto. Pope Alexander VI, I get confused. Now he's my caller, he lets me entertain in the Vatican when he's away. Now the Cardinals don't like it. They don't have much to say about it, so I do it anyway. I'll keep on dancing, I'll keep on singing. I'll never say die, Mama. You know me, I'll always try. But what is this game we're forced to play when nobody wins? We just get older, we just get wiser. We turn into a miser and count up all our days. That's a true story about Lucrezia's father being the Pope. Her mother was a hooker. They prayed for her for over 100 years because she gave so much money to this one order. It was really nice. Why, Mama, why must we wait to die? To see God, to find heaven, to be one of the little Angelinas. Why, Mama?
So thank you, Brian and Susan. We're going to bring up the next panel now. We've got, thank you so much. So the first person I'd like to introduce for this next segment was the artistic director at PS 122 from 1983, I think, to 2004. He started the Under the Radar Festival at St. Anne's and then moved it to the Public Theater where he is now. Very instrumental in developing and helping many very well-known New York artists in their careers, for which we thank you very much. Mark Russell.
Be up here.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
The next person I'd like to introduce is a woman that everyone here knows already. She's won an Emmy, she's won a Bessie, she's won an Obie, she's been a stage manager, a DJ, a lighting designer, she's been a producer, she works full-time for a very big celebrity running their production department. She's done a favor for probably every person in this room. Please welcome Lori Seid. And also joining us, it's a wonderful performer and visual artist. You all know him. He's won an Ethyl Eichelberger Award. He's working on a new show now called Under the Skin. John Kelly. So, John, were you along on that trip? Did you go to Hullwalls with them?
It was cold. Up in Buffalo, it was cold.
And what was it like to travel with Ethel?
It was like a pyramid 8 BC field trip, so it was kind of great.
Did Bobby have that big old car?
I don't know if
He hadn't bought it yet.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how we got there. I don't know how we left. But we hung together while we were there. That's all I remember.
Fantastic.
I think I was screaming up in the background. It's just so remarkable to see an extended sequence of Ethel. Just, oh man, I'm just dying and, watching this.
Yeah, I thought
30 years, it's hard to believe.
It is hard to believe. And I thought it would be just more impactful to see one long performance that Ethel did.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Absolutely. So one thing I wanted to bring up with Lori is an iconic photograph shot by Don McAdams, wonderful photographer. I think it was last published in the New York Times, and it's a photograph of Ethel at the piano.
On her knees.
Yes, on her knees, and you're rushing forward with a piano bench. So can you give us the backstory on that?
I would be honored. Mark Russell, every year we did a, he called it a benefit, I called it a marathon.
Yes.
It would be like 3 days long and 2 shows a night and like 5 shows a night? Yeah, and 2 a night, but there'd be like 15 to 20 people a show. And it trained me for later in my life because I would literally have to go up to like Spalding Gray and go, that's enough, okay, off the stage. So we would rehearse a lot, but I got to know a lot of artists really intimately, so I thank you for that, because we were just in the trenches together. So this particular night, Ethel did, I think it's Minnie the Maid, and by this point we had worked together quite a bit, and Ethel was one of those generous artists that would always make the other person look better than them, even though they were the icon and the legend. So Ethel, who did every benefit every year that I could ever remember, came out as Minnie the Maid in already 6 feet something in heels 6 inches high with the accordion, does the usual shtick where it's like teaching you life lessons through laughter and tears, and then picks up the accordion to play it and the strap breaks. And the room just stops, and Ethel is like, but at the same time caught my eye, and I pointed at the piano on the side of the stage, and just without letting the audience know, it kind of gave me the yep. And I pushed the piano out onto the stage as Ethel said, "Oh, if I only had a piano." And the timing made me look heroic because because often we didn't have a lot of help at PS, I already knew that I could push that piano alone. So there's Ethel, 7 feet tall, going, if only I had a piano, and here's me, squatting Polish, pushing this piano out, and of course we get a big roar and applause, and then I leave, and then I don't know what Ethel's gonna do, and Ethel goes over to the piano, does a little bit more shtick, fixes the mic, and gets on her knees, and she sees me at this point, because I couldn't do the bench and the piano, and sees me coming with the bench and went, now, if dreams really came true, I'd have a piano bench. And I was just coming around her, and Donna shot the photograph. Yeah. So there was a magic Ethel generosity, sharing that moment of, could have just went, get a piano, get a bench, but instead made it like something that was so amazing. And one of the highlights, I've worked with a lot of people, I have a top 5 in my head. That was one of the top 5 moments. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Mark, I wanted to ask you about, because you've helped so many people in their careers, how do you know when somebody has that spark, and when did you see it in Ethel?
Ethel had that spark.
Did you first see him at a nightclub, or did he come?
Yeah, I saw him. I was walking down, I think it was 6th Avenue, when I was before PS 122, and I walked into this bar called Snafu, and no one else was in it, but Ethel was playing. He was like doing every Monday night or something like that, and I was, wow, this is not Kansas anymore. And later, I mean, came along, and I saw him at 8BC and everything. And then when 122 got going, he was one of the first people we were inviting in. And he was amazing. I was sort of trained by Ethel, I feel, and led. He was so generous. I was trying to remember here, did anyone have dinner with Ethel where he would make this sort of pasta carbonara? Is this true?
Well,
he would feed everybody, taught people how to eat, that you can make a meal with an egg and a couple and some pasta, and you can sustain yourself. And so it was sort of a, boot camp for drag queens.
And who walked down the street with Ethel pushing the cart?
Yeah.
I got stopped with them before where people thought we were selling stuff. No, we're going to a show.
That was always, after a show, and he would get his cast to carry the piano down the halls of PS 122 and onto this rolling cart, and they'd roll it home to Spring Street in the middle of the night, and it was anyway.
And Ethel always had a shopping cart. All of Ethel's props and everything were in a shopping cart. So that's the cart. Yeah. There was a time once, should I do that? The opening night of the Palladium, a bunch of people were asked to perform. Were you there? Karen Finley, I think you were there, Dance Noise, Ethel. It was like, we're part of the neighborhood. We're going to open this big nightclub. And Dance Noise performed by climbing up these columns. And I don't know if you know Dance Noise, they do everything together, and they do it usually naked, and they do it usually with fake blood. So they climbed up the columns, and they shot little bows and arrows at each other, and they took out the fake blood, and we were shut down. They came down the columns. Luckily, we all got paid, and we were told to leave. Everyone. We all got kicked out. And so I was, in my memory, this is what happened. I could be wrong, but I do remember then we had to get to the Pyramid Club, and none of us, we didn't take taxis then. You walked. So in Ethel, in all her glory, and her, again, 6-inch heels, with her shopping cart, and she had a wig bigger than anything you've seen, with lit up flowers, a dozen flowers. We walked from Palladium, which is 3rd and 14th, to the Pyramid Club. And not one, and this is like 87. I don't know if you check when Palladium opened. Gay bashing was relevant. And so you were a freak, you got taunted. Not one person in that entire walk with me and Ethel pushing her cart said a mean thing. It was all honks and waves and love. And that's what Ethel brought. A room or an avenue or a walk was just sitting there watching. I found myself swaying like I used to do at her shows, where you're just like a little kid seeing something that just explodes your mind and your heart. And that's an Ethel experience. So,
yeah.
I just wanted to hear a downstairs at the pyramid story.
Yeah. Ethel wore poodle polish on her nails because it dried really quickly, like dog nail polish. And just these like flicks of color, The last thing she would do before climbing up the staircase to the tiny stage of the Pyramid Club. But a couple of things, these things floating around. Ethel did a piece called "Catherine Was Great."
Yes.
About Catherine the Great, and she had little tiny little white satin girly thing on, and those heels. But then this short guy with these giant balloon dick, and now the piece was this vocal track of ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah, like just changing poses. That's all it was. It was hilarious. I'm sitting on the floor of the pyramid with John Dugdale and Peter Huger. We were dying. It was so funny. But I met Ethel. I was dating Eric Benson, who was a singer, and he knew Randy, this fixer of organs, who worked at St. John the Divine. And Eric took me to Ramsey's Loft on 19th Street, and Ethel performed with a gusto, I think, an array of these incredible character studies, like 1979 or 1980. And then Ethel, in the basement of the Pyramid Club, soon after it opened, which had a dirt floor, introduced me to Larry Ray, the founder of the original Trocadero Gloxinia Ballet Company. And I wound up performing here soon after in Larry's company. But a couple of Ethel stories. Larry eventually staged a Macbeth ballet to the music of Verdi's opera, the ballet music, that Brian Taylor choreographed for us at a place called the Ballroom, or 28th and 8th. And Ethel played Lady Macbeth, but very expressionistic, and and we were the witches and all that. And then in the regular company season, it would end on this stage and other stages with the Russian dance. We had these kind of big Russian hats on and bejeweled blouses and these long tapestry dresses that were heavy, and the hem was a circle of fur. And when we would spin out, the dress would bell out into a big bell shape, and we would all, in formation be doing that, but we would do it one at a time at first. And we were in our toe shoes because it was the end of the evening, When Ethel came out, she had heels on, which is such a great touch, but Larry was so mad. They had a row every once in a while. And then, but Larry, you mentioned the Trocadero concert.
The gospel
it was
choir,
called
yes.
the Skillet Lickers. the Skillet Lickers. And we reprised it at the Pyramid Club with Ethel playing the piano, singing Gilbert and Sullivan, and playing tambourines. And that's all I know.
That's pretty good.
One of the memories I have of the many shows that Ethel did, he would, at PS 122, he'd often reserve and do an extra show at midnight for Charles Ludlam and the Ridiculous. And we'd wait, and then Charles would come down the hall with entourage and perform, and they would just perform for Charles.
So we're going to come back to another segment of the panel, so everybody just stay here. But for now, Joey's going to introduce the next live performance.
Yay. So if what you've seen already is not outre and special enough for you, I have another treat for you. Jeremy Halpern is going to play live to a Peter Hujar film of an Ethyl Eichelberger mime performance known as Auntie, Belle, This film has not been seen in public really since Ethel's memorial in this room. So you're in for a very special treat. Please help me in welcoming Peter Hujar's film of Ethyl Eichelberger as Auntie, Belle, with the assistance of Jeremy Halpern. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jeremy. That is a rare glimpse at a Peter Hujar work, like I said, that's not been seen for many, many years in public. Jeremy totally composed that for today. So once again, thank you, Jeremy, for composing that fabulous score and working with us today. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to Joni now.
So next we're going to see another video, and this is from Ethel's commercial career. He also worked, as Joey told you, on Broadway and films, and this is from Comedy of Errors at Lincoln Center.
God, is it great to be back from Betty Ford's. Well met, Master Antipholus. I see, sir, you have found the goldsmith now. Is that the chain you promised me today? Satan avoid. I charge thee, tempt me not.
Master, is this Mistress Satan?
It is the devil.
Nay, she is worse. She is the devil's dam. And here she comes in the habit of a light wench. And there comes the wench's name. God damn me, that's as much to say, God make me a light wench. It is written, they appear to men like angels of light. Light is defective fire, and fire will burn. Ergo light wenches will burn. Come not near her.
You're a man and you're a marvelous Mary, sir. Will you go with me? We'll mend our dinner here.
Master, if you do, expect spoon meat, or bespeak a long spoon.
A wide Romeo.
Marry, sir, he must have a long spoon that must eat what the devil.
Avoid then, fiend. What tells thou me of supping? Thou art, as you are all, oh sorceress. I conjure thee to leave me, and be gone. Amscray, yesterday. 17. Give me the ring of mine you had at dinner. Oh, for my diamond, the chain you promised. I hope you do not mean to cheat me so. What the witch? Look, it's Vanna White. What's she wearing? Play me something nice. Come now, a rondo and a fairy song. They're my favorite. That's Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 2, Scene 2. Now out of doubt, Antipholus is mad, else would he never so demean himself. A ring he hath of mine worth 40 ducats, and for the same he promised me a chain. Both one and other he denies me now. Oh. My way is now to hie home to his house and tell his wife that being lunatic, he rushed into my house and took perforce my ring away. Of this course I fittest choose, for 40 ducats is too much to lose. Now stand up and unfold yourself. Look to the queen there, ho! That's Hamlet. Ain't you old goat? That's Coriolanus, Act 3, Scene 1. And away we go, that's Jackie Gleason, Channel 11. Never steal a diamond from a working girl. Up, up, and away. Be quiet, people! Wherefore, so bound him, I will loose his bonds and gain a husband by his liberty. Speak, old Aegean, if thou beest the man that hadst a wife once called Emilia, that bore thee as a burden 2 fair sons. Or if thou beest the same Aegean, speak, and speak unto the same. Oh,
And thank you, Jim Freeman, for bringing that footage over.
That was originally directed by Robert Woodruff for Lincoln Center. As you saw, that was with the Flying Karamazov brothers. And also, that was the first live from Lincoln Center from the Vivian Beaumont Theater, right? Live from Lincoln Center is an established series on PBS, but that was the first production they did out of the Vivian Beaumont. And that was a crazy production. I don't know if any of you saw it, but juggling, unicycles, everything was constantly going on that stage. It was remarkable. And as you saw there, also some of Ethel's ad-libbing, cutting into the script abilities. Any celebrities in the audience, Ethel would recognize. The night that Carol Channing was there, apparently the house came down Ethel. This was an idol of Ethel. So yeah, this was quite a show, and yeah, a lot of fun. Robert Woodruff was the director of this. Yeah.
So we're going to see one more live performance before we talk again with the panel. And these are two members of an Ethyl Eichelberger tribute band known as the Eichelbergers. And Jennifer Miller, a former she's an Ethyl Eichelberger Award winner. She teaches at Pratt, where she produced Das Vidanya Mama with her students, which was an incredible experience. And joining her is the vocalist for the Eichelbergers, Heather Green, who's an amazing soprano, which you are about to find out. So welcome. Thank you both for coming, and take it away.
So delighted to be here. We do have this Eichelberger cover band, the Eichelbergers, usually with Lee Free, the drummer, and lots of big, glamorous wigs and stilts, but we're doing unplugged today. To hear Heather sing it is all we need, and I'll just pop on the back. But I just have to say, what was so exciting about that last thing was my first move to the commercial theater was with the Karamazovs in Das Vidanya Mama, and I think Ethyl Eichelberger definitely paved the way for them to be open to having me doing Don Quixote. I didn't know. So we're going to do Miserable World? Yeah, where do you want to be? Should we scoot over a little bit so that... Do you want us to move? No, just one number.
So next time you see the Eichelbergers performing, I know you're not going to miss it. So we want to talk some more with the panel. Let's pass the mic. And it rests with you. So there's so many amazing memories from Ethel. For me, of course, performing with him was unbelievable. I'd been a dancer. I'd never even talked on stage. And the first big part that he wrote for me, I had to sing too. And I couldn't sing. But Ethel was a master at exploiting people's weaknesses. So he wrote that song right out of my key, and I squeaked my way through it. I was playing an 8-year-old, so of course it brought the house down. And so I was wondering, does anybody remember anything where Ethel exploited someone's strength or weakness? I mean, I know he also had Lady Bunny whistling, which I didn't know Lady Bunny could whistle, but boy, she can whistle. I mean...
I just remember one night being in the audience, I believe it was Herd of Buffalo at PS 122, or maybe Fiasco, and Ethel was just throwing out Jacobean drama lines and asking me if I could name which play that came from. I was like, I do not know if that's Tamburlaine or what you're going at, but Ethel would, throw out these mishmash lines that were just amazing because of, the actor's memory, having been in plays and reading plays, right, just knew.
Well, also Ethel was a big ad-libber.
Oh, yes.
And in an ensemble piece, of course, I mean, personally, I would just stand there repeating the cue line so I wouldn't miss it when it went by. I mean, I was terrified to even listen to him do an improvisation, but he wrote very complex scripts and yet was able to just go off on a flight of fancy.
Yeah, one thing about the fact that a lot of Ethel's work happened in clubs, and, like, say, for instance, the Pyramid Club, people are coming there to drink, to dance, and then maybe they're going to expect to see something. But to kind of come out like a cannonball, you've got to snag those people right away. Otherwise, they will throw things, be bored, talk, whatever. So the chops that it takes to nail that, to grab people, especially with Ethel's choice of characters, mythology, and they may not know who Phaedra is, but, to grab that audience and to compel them to accept you and to win. And I don't know how much it informed Ethel's writing, but certainly club performance should be taught in performance studies programs. People should be required to do it because it's tough, And also, Ethel set the rung really high.
Well, the other thing is that Ethel had so many layers in his writing. And so I remember being at plays where one person in the audience laughed. Like he could throw in a private
Pedro.
joke.
Pedro, that laugh would be heard backstage at Ethel shows. And no one was tickled more than Ethel. So,
well, also, the other thing that Lori can confirm is that backstage was as much fun as the audience was having.
it was like that between heaven and hell. Like you're not quite sure which way you want to go, so you want to keep a foot in both because it's unfucking believable what's happening. And everybody was a team. Everyone helped everyone, and there were props flying and papers flying and.
Yeah, because he had very prop-heavy productions and also musical instrument-heavy productions. You had to hand him a variety.
On this note, can I just say that there's someone here that I would be chagrined to not say. John Grenon, the technical person from 8BC, is here, and Ethel adored this man, and if Ethel needed him, John somehow would emerge. So, he's a legend, John, I just had to say.
Well, there are several.
I mean, there's a lot. There's Peter Kramer. There's a lot of performers here, but as a tech team, we would have our beers and tell our own little stories. And John Grenon is a king amongst us. So I just want to say.
And also, you had to be equipped to deal with highly flammable material.
And including him blowing fire from his mouth.
So you had.
So often you would see me, and I did this for Miller too, with a bucket and a fire extinguisher, which, by the way, half of those fire extinguishers did not work. Now that it's PSNY, I could tell secrets. We couldn't afford fucking fire extinguishers,
No,
which
you
is
have to
why I had a
pay
bucket.
monthly. I forget that.
So anyway, that was all part of the magic.
Yes. Did he learn the blowing fire from the Karamazovs, I think, or from that time? Yeah. He was just a sponge for all these things. And the thing with Sting, I remember he was the first thing, the street singer, right?
In Threepenny Opera, Ethel was the narrator, street singer, and Ethel was disturbed because they would not allow him to actually play the accordion. The accordion was synced up from the orchestra pit, right? Because of Broadway union musician rules. This was before, like, we get all these musicals now, Sweeney Todd, where every act on stage is playing an instrument, right? This is a different era, right? But the fire eating situation, apparently that is a very sacred art that can only be transferred from one person to another. And so one of the people in that Karamazov production decided that Ethel was the person they were going to pass this knowledge along to. And that is where then Ethel gained that skill. Ethel was always looking to gain a circus, vaudeville, burlesque kind of skill. Ethel was the high and the low, right? Ethel could never quite master the unicycle, though, right? It was that proved a little more difficult.
He was better at it than I was. I almost injured myself severely in my apartment with that unicycle. Oh. I can't even get a heel on anymore. But I did also want to recognize some other people in the audience, like Lola Paushalinsky. Like Pedro Rosado, who was Ethel's stage manager after me. And if any of you have any quick stories, then jump up right now and let us know. No? Oh, no? Okay. So, all right, so we go back to the video. Yes. So the next video we're going to see is from HBO's Encyclopedia, and it's very interesting. It's just the end of the alphabet, which I'm not sure why that's what we have, but that's what we have. And it gives you an idea of sort of the range of things he was doing with that production. So, HBO.
Unicycle. A unicycle is a vehicle, something you can ride with a seat and a frame, mounted above a single wheel. A unicycle looks hard to ride, but the unicycle vulture. I'm getting ready for my movie debut. It's a Western called The Good, the Bald, and the Ugly. I'm the last two, bald and ugly. But the movie should be called The Good, the Bald... Walrus! Marlena! Marlena! Bad news, I lost my walrus. Her name's Marlena. I'm looking for her here on this ice floe in the Arctic Ocean, but she might be in the North Atlantic or North Pacific Oceans, too. They love cold water. Marlena! Marlena!
Oh, there's the door.
Quite so. What about Washington muffins?
Oh, it's Colonel Nicola, dear.
Nicola muffins?
Would you like some independent muffins, sir?
No, thank you, Mrs. Washington.
Well, if you change your mind, let me know, will you?
General, I came to ask you if you would reconsider our suggestion.
I won't reconsider. I shall not be king of the United States. I think it's a terrible idea.
But, Your Highness,
Don't call me that.
As Commander-in-Chief, you led the Continental Army to victory over the British. The people love you. The army wants you.
Well, that's very flattering.
But the war was very hard, and we feel that the army has been mistreated by Congress. So we want to set up a monarchy with you as king. Your Majesty.
Don't call me that.
Very well.
Sadly, you know how that turns out.
So I want to thank everybody who's participated today. It's been an incredible afternoon. It's gone so fast, I can't believe it. We're going to end with a video from Das Vidanya Mama, so we're going to let Ethel have the last word here. But first, I wanted to read a couple of things from Ethel's stepmom and dad, because I kept a correspondence going with them until they both died. And so this first letter is from December 12th, 1990, and it's after they had attended the memorial service here. Dear Joan, we were so happy to get your note. I too have been thinking of writing ever since we were in New York, but it has been one thing after another. However, you, Susan, and Ethel's friends have been in our discussions more times than you can imagine. We were so impressed with the devotion, respect, and admiration everyone had for Ethel, and it meant so much to his father to witness all this. It was an inspiring memorial service that you all prepared, and we appreciate the many hours spent in getting it just right. And his stepmom's name was Naomi, and she was very chatty and told about painting their bedroom and their health and Thanksgiving and all of that, and then said, please keep in touch, and we appreciate your burning the candles and remembering Ethel. I only wish I'd had the opportunity to meet him. Oh. But we wrote for 10 years. The last letter I found was from 2000. And this one is from 1994, and it's after Oliver Herring had done his exhibit that Joey mentioned earlier. Dear Joan, forgive me for taking so long to write, and thank you for the review, A Flower for Ethel, and the promotion cards. Roy, that's Ethel's dad, was very pleased to know about this, and he appreciates all these things you and Susan do. He never talks much about it, but memories are deep, and the loss keenly felt, I know. I'm glad you and Susan were able to attend the showing and to know you were impressed with it. It sounds as though Mr. Herring put a lot into it. Something I thought you and Susan would want to know. Kay went to San Francisco in May with Alosha to attend Alosha and Ron's son's graduation from university there. While there, they went to Eichelberger's restaurant. According to Kay and Joanne, that's his sisters, from this and their previous visit and pictures, it is quite a nice place, though not the best of locations. We've all heard that before. The food is excellent, and I guess you would call it continental with all the pizzazz, so not any hole in the wall, and apparently very popular. Well, Cornelius Conboy and Dennis Gatra, right, from 8BC, went out to San Francisco and opened an Ethel-themed restaurant called Eichelberger's. It was pretty successful for a while and now closed, but it was...
That's also where Kiki and Herb were...
started in the basement of that.
Yes, of Eichelberger's. So thank you all for coming. Thank you, La Mama. Thank you, Mikhail, especially for all the work you put into this. Well, I was just going to do a little intro to the clip. So this is Ethel's last play. Excuse me. And this is a sort of a political rant that he does. And this was at PS 122. Ethel was very sick at this point, and he still performed full out every night. We had a chair for him because he couldn't even make it to the dressing room after the performance. But he never did anything but gave it all. And so for the last word today, I want to introduce Ethyl Eichelberger in Das Vidanya Mama.
How could you do this piece when you know it's the National Endowment for the Arts?
Oh, honey, that's exactly why I did it. I can't smear myself with chocolate. I'm not beautiful like Sheridan did. I'm sorry, make a tit sandwich once, but these ain't real. I don't want to tell you anything. I bought them. They come in different sizes. And I wasn't lucky enough to be born a lesbian like Holly Hughes. I have to do what I do. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Honey, that was a heterosexual act. That horse had genitalia, it was male, and I am obviously a woman. But it's gotta be all right. Listen, you want to see gay art, you go over to the public theater. There you will see living in the flesh heterosexual men playing faggots, and they'll make you cry, feel sorry for them. You come over here, you'll see a real live living non-heterosexual faggot playing a woman, and all I can do is make you laugh. I'd rather make you laugh. That's the difference. This is my kind of theater. You don't see homoerotic art in my dramas ever. That's why I did it. Now ask another stupid question.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.